Good afternoon, my potato chips. Wee Paddy from across the shuck, and another wee video today. And I'm looking forward to this one because I bought this. This is the new GEC, and when I got it, and I wasn't too sure whether I liked the blades together. Well, they didn't really suit my eye, but I was more interested in the shield and the jigged bone than I was what the knife would be to carry and use. And that's still the same, although I've got used to the two blades, and they're two lovely blades. But in all honesty, this is not a particularly comfortable knife to carry. And the reason is this tiny little nub here. And it's the perfect knife to show you what can be and what can't be comfortable to carry. And you can't necessarily tell till you get it in hand, or you ask somebody. And that's what I'm trying to say is, look, there's a few of us here in the traditional knives, and we probably all got different opinions on what's carryable, what's usable. But I like to take a knife. When I'm buying this, I be honest with you, I'm buying it because it was a club knife. It had a beautiful shield, gorgeous jig bone, two nice blades, although I didn't particularly like them together. That's just my opinion. Other people love it. But when I'm judging a knife, when I get it here and I'm sitting down and I'm looking at it, you forget about price, because price really has not to do with it. Then you bought it. I bought this with my eye, so I thought the price was right. So you got to finish this. For me, what I wanted out of this, I bought it because it was right for me. So price, nothing to do with it. But it's carry and use. A pen knife is supposed to be used. Pen knives are not made to be stuck in a box. That's us. That's us weirdo hobbyists who need to have 400 knives in our house to feel secure. And it's the truth. Most people would buy one knife like this and use it till it's done, and then buy another one. So in their lifetime, they might only buy 2 knives, 3 knives. Do you know what I mean? Where I can buy that in a week sometimes. But when I buy a knife, I want to know, is it going to be okay if I want to hard use it or use it for a prolonged period of time? And that will tell me how much I'll use that knife. So this already cosmetically does the trick for me. I'm happy with it. I bought it because cosmetically I love it, and this shield is just amazing on a knife. Now, when I put this in hand to use it, I always get up near the ricasso, as you hear me saying all the time. It just gives that little bit of stability. If the knife's to close, it's going to close in my hand there, nip me, and I'll pull away, and the knife will bounce back. That's a traditional knife for me. But is it comfortable to use? Well, I did use it, and I cut cardboard with it, and I cut a few other things with it. But after a few cuts, this tiny little bit that's sticking out, which is a lot less than most multi-bladed knives, just was so sharp, it was digging into me. I got a little file out, took it over the top of it, thought that would ease it, but I didn't want to change the shape of it. I just wanted to soft it ever so slightly. It was a woman's nail file I used, just a really smooth nail file, low grit, I should say. And it was still pretty uncomfortable. Now, when I closed this blade, and I brought the secondary blade out, can you see the difference? It's got a little bit bigger there, and if I was to use this hard use, this will dig in. I guarantee you, it will dig in hard use. And if you're thrashing through something, you're constantly pulling your skin across a really sharp point. Nothing wrong. This is this is a multi-bladed knife. I'm not trying to say that this is a bad multi-bladed knife. This is made perfectly well. Fit and finish is absolutely immaculate on it. Absolutely immaculate. And a beautiful knife. Lovely in hand. But the other thing is this part of the blade. Now this is a saddleback, a swayback, whatever you want to call that. This bow at the back here. And this blade sticks up relatively high. Again, for just a quick slice and a cut, you'll never feel it. But doing multiple cuts, you would. So this is not what I would call a comfortable knife to use. And again, that is important, because maybe in your collection, you're only going to have 3 or 4 high-end knives. I'm just very fortunate. And you see, when I set my knives down like this, I genuinely feel fortunate. But so that is not what I would call a particularly comfortable knife to use. So what would be? What would be? So when you look at all these knives and you see these, the centre blade here, the sheep's foot, this is a Stockman pattern, this is a vintage Tony Bowes, you see that sticking out and you think, well, good God, that must be uncomfortable to use. So these knives to buy, there's not much difference in price if you don't buy them new. This is quite an expensive case knife. So, you know my favourite knives are GEC, but that is aesthetically. They're not always the most comfortable. So I take this and look at that. Look how close that is into the side and the way the blade shapes away here. This is incredibly comfortable in this part of the blade is comfortable, but also this, look how high that is up there. If I take that away, you can see how high that sticks up. But in the sow belly, it disappears because the height between here and here isn't that much. So when I go over the top of this, and my little finger's down here, it's at the high point of the knife, if you like, and this just slips in between the creases of my fingers, and I could use this for hours, and this would not bother me. Wouldn't bother me. So there's two high-end knives that are absolutely completely different as far as I would carry that as a user without a problem. This I would carry as a user and have done without a problem. Now I'm not talking abusing your knives, talking maybe using them for extended periods of time. That would be very comfortable. That I wouldn't even take that because, to be honest with you, because I find it really quite uncomfortable to use in a longer period of time. If you're just going to do EDC every day, little cuts, absolutely fine. But a knife, in my opinion, when I'm buying it, I actually want it to be able to do everything. And that's why I trade knives and I change them about, because I'm always looking to get out of all my, my GECs are my favourite knife. I have 13 of them. There's only 2 now that are multi-blades because I've used the other ones and they're not as comfortable. They're just not as comfortable. Here's a Northwoods. Now, this is an old Northwoods. These were made by Queen Dave Shirley when Dave Shirley owned Northwoods. Beautiful knife. Absolutely beautiful. Now, there's a couple of things you're going to pick out on this. Look at this knife. Big, large, pointed, everything you could see wrong with it. It is so uncomfortable. For me, when I put it down to here, this just jags straight into my finger. Now, if I was to adjust the tip of that, let me just get you around and show you more what I'm talking about. If I was to smooth this corner, this is the corner here that's given me, when I close my knife, and you can see how that mates up there, if I was to smooth that off, I'm going to have a big gap there, and that will aesthetically ruin the knife for me. It'll not look good. It'll look like a cheaper version of a knife. So that would really annoy me to fix that problem on this knife. So I can't fix it. When I hold it, it's honestly, it just jags right in. But it's a nice knife, and for EDC, it would do fine. But as a knife that I might have to end up doing hard use, no way. Because I would have to put something over that to hold it. It's that uncomfortable. And this is a high-end Northwoods knife. I mean, these were expensive knives and still are. But the other thing about this knife, a lot of blades, when you look around there, most of all the blades you'll see there are rounded. This is this is the butt of a rifle here, and it's squared off at the back. The point of this, when it's in here, goes in about here in my hand. So for long use, this is going to wear into my hand, whereas a rounded butt, or a rounded end cap, I'm still calling it, the end cap, when it's rounded, it doesn't do that. But there's a lot of knives that have the square cut. For use, I don't like the square cut because these are sharp points, and when you put them in there and you're using them extendedly, that rubs away. It's annoying. So again, there's another high-end knife that's not a great user. So what about the lower-end knives? Do they suffer from the same thing? Yes, they can do, but you can also find some fantastic lower-end knives that don't cause you any problems whatsoever. And I'm going to bring out this old-timer. I have a couple here. We'll go through them. This old-timer. You can see that there's a bit on here which is no bigger than what was on there, or no smaller, I should say, what's on there. But when this is in hand, perfect. Perfect. It's not as fat up here, so my finger isn't coming down and holding at an angle where that's going to stick in. Because it's a smaller blade, this is just a medium stockman, because the sheep's foot here, it's sitting up fairly high. Look at it again. That's fairly high to that wee knife. There's the end of the knife there. So even when you tilt it, you're not getting anywhere near it. That is a big thing. But whatever happens in that medium stockman, look, you can see that falls in between the creases, and you put your hand there. You physically have to make sure you've got it in the right grip if you're going to do long. I could do it all day long with this knife. The perfect little work knife. I would rather have this with me to do tasks that might be called upon than having this GEC or this Northwoods. But attractively, still, I'm happy with what I paid. And this is where you have to be happy with it. I know I kept this when I've had this a while. I kept it. I didn't cull it because I love the history of that knife. That is an attraction. Beautiful. This, it's it's a Derlin handle. It's just beautiful. It's absolutely a stunning little knife. Perfectly well made. Now, this is an older version. This is the old-timer USA made, which I believe, in my opinion, are a better knife. But so comfortable, and have 3 blades. And to be honest with you, in my life, I might be going to have to do extended work, but this wee knife with 3 blades will get me through any day at all. It's fantastic. It's lovely and so comfortable to use. So there again, what I'm saying is, in my knife collection, which is, quite extensive now, and I've got some lovely knives, this is going to beat a lot of my high-end ones for pocket time, simply because it feels good in my hand. Rough Rider. They do a sow belly too. Look at that. Good big sheep's foot in there. Little nub. What's it like in hand? Absolutely don't feel it. I don't even feel it. If I squeeze really hard, nothing. You'll not see a red mark, which you would get on a lot of other ones. So this is just a basic Rough Rider. And when I say basic, I mean, look at that. It's perfectly formed. It's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. 3-bladed stockman will do me all day long if I need it. So I could carry this before I'll carry a Northwoods and a GEC. Strange, isn't it? Beautiful knife. What about this? This high part here? Because this is a sow belly, it puts my hand in a position where you have a contact point here, and this comes out of the way, where the height of this is the same height as the back of the sow belly. So my hands are staying straight, but the sow belly just fits in that gap in my fingers. Quite happy, easy to cut. Again, there we go, a Rough Rider. What is it? It's an under £20 knife, or whatever it is, somewhere around £20 knife. Perfectly glued. I would rather have it than some of my high-end knives. And again, that's why I keep knives like this in my collection, because they all are different, and they all really do make you enjoy collecting knives. Here's another high-end one. Here's a Shatton Morgan. I love this. This is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. And they call this the Trapper, I believe. Yeah, Shatton Morgan, with a worm groove bone. A beautifully, aesthetically pleasing knife. Really is beautiful. Lined bolsters, but it's got square end caps. Let's see how they fit. In my hand, when I hold it, ow. If I have to get right up there, which is too close to the blade, before that stops sticking into me. That tiny little one just sticks right into me. And I'm not going to file them down. Sometimes I get like a lady's file that they use for manicuring their nails, and the big stick, and I just rub it over a wee bit, and it takes it away for a while, but it doesn't take it away. This is not a comfortable knife to use. It's flat. Now, again, you've got this here, which is the squared back, and I've come to the conclusion now, the squared backs are not particularly the most comfortable. But this one isn't as bad as the last one we've seen, as that Northwood. It's not as bad. It is sort of rounded over. It's not as sharp, but the front part is. This, I would say over time, this would probably get annoying just moving about, but it's not hurting me. But again, that front bit just ruins it. It's not a knife But again, I love this aesthetically. I think it's beautiful. I really like the fact that, these are not made anymore. So having these in the collection is just a joy. Let's go to we're on the last last three. Here's another one now. This is Rough Rider's interpretation of a queen knife. Absolutely love this knife aesthetically. It's a cheap knife. It was a 35, 40 pound knife. Really, really love it aesthetically. The bone is beautifully. The inlaid shield, round shield. The lined bolster. This is a Barlow that you'd be proud to take out anywhere. Fit and finish, absolutely great. Just a beautiful knife. What's it like to hold? Let me just show you. There's next to nothing there. Next to nothing. A beautiful. More comfortable than this Rough Rider. More comfortable than that. This is just a beautiful Barlow to use, and I think the simple fact is it's a bit wider at the base here. It's rounded. It's so comfortable you could use it all day. Now you just have the pen blade and this blade, but it's a multi-bladed knife that will do you. Look at that, fit and finish, beautiful. There's nothing to worry about in that knife. I don't worry so much about the pen blades or secondary blades. As long as I can get a good hand on the main blade, that's the one that makes the difference. So the pen blade, is it comfortable? In this one, absolutely. But it doesn't have to be. Even if that jagged me a bit, I would just turn it sideways because I'm only going to be doing light tasks. So a lot of the times I'll carry most knives and I'll cut like that. So that's my interpretation of how you cut. But yes, a beautiful knife. That Queen Barlow is absolutely stunning. And one of my newest knives, and probably one I knew was going to be comfortable because the canoe pattern's always been known because they hide the tang, the little tangs don't stick out. You have the smaller blade here, and look at, you've all this room up here. This is just melt in your hand, comfortable. Could work for hours. The beautiful canoe pattern. Everything is tidied away. Just a stunning knife. Love this. This has really hit me. This is just a knife I love off. And again, this is one I got off Bladebridgeltd.co.uk. Go and check him out. Honestly, he just has fantastic knives on Instagram, YouTube, all over the place. I got this off him at a really good price and just absolutely stunning. But very, very comfortable. And, case knives, this is not one of the expensive case knives, but, I'm sure, a case canoe's going to cost you a fair bit. Say 70, 80 maybe for a canoe, depending on the bone pattern and the case. I think that was probably more expensive when I got it. But it's a case canoe, so I would like to think that most of them are going to be exactly the same. But it's maybe worth having a look. And I'm going to come to the last knife in this collection of mine. This is just some I pulled out. This is a case, and this is the Tony Bowes show special. This is the most expensive knife on the table to buy. Well, it was, this was the most expensive that I'd bought out of all these here. This is just how a knife should be made and how it should feel in the hand. Tony Bowes had it right all along. He always said, round everything over. Who wants a point on a knife? Oh, sorry. Who needs a point on a knife? Nobody. Nobody needs a point. So this goes in my hand. It is just so comfortable. Really, really comfortable. That blade's just hidden away. You don't feel it. The most expensive, but yet this is this would make an absolute user. And the sentence is would, because I'll probably not use this. I might carry it, but I'll have another knife to use. I'll carry it to show off because I just think this is Tony Bowes at his best. It is just beautiful. And Tony really liked all his knives to be completely rounded, so you don't get this rub in your hand. The man knew what he was doing. He was a proper knife. He was a knife user as well as a knife maker of great esteem. Sadly left us now, but there we go. So I just wanted to show my carry today is a single-bladed knife. And my carry most days is going to be a single-bladed knife. And for the simple reason that if called upon, now this is the Jack Wolf, this is the little bro, which will be back with us, hopefully not too far away in the future. This is just, you've nothing, you've no tangs to annoy you. This is a knife I could use all day long and do whatever cutting I wanted. I'd have no problem because it's a lovely rounded knife. And now I'm getting more choosy in what I'm picking as a carry. If it's at all going to dig in here, I probably won't carry it for everyday use. I might carry it about the house. But if I'm going to go somewhere, well, once you leave the door, you don't know what you're going to do with your knife. So your knife had better be exactly what you want it to be. So it's made me choose different knives than I thought I would choose for use. And there we go. Sorry, I have one more. Sorry, I know this has gone on 20 minutes already. Sorry. This is my favourite multi-bladed knife by far. And it's a GEC, but it wasn't as expensive as these ones here. Some of these knives here. Beautiful, beautiful. This is a Stockyard Whittler, they call it. No, is it Stockyard Whittler? Yeah, I think it is. Beautiful, large blade. Look at that. You can't even see where the blades go in. Look how well they tuck away in. This is a knife made for using. It's beautiful, and I use it. I don't mind using it. In fact, I know this is a knife I'm going to take. If I think I could have a hard day, I'll take this. And aesthetically, it's beautiful. But a used knife is also beautiful. You know, it gives it a bit of glamour, a bit of feel. This is just gorgeous. Look at them blades, how low down they are. And this is a Stockyard Whittler. So on this side, again, you have a big punch. Beautiful, really useful. And I have used punch. Amazing going through wood. And then on the other side, you have a really beautiful coping blade. Look at that, beautiful. But then again, nothing on this side. You can nip in. Not as comfortable as the main blade when it's out, because there is little humps about. You know what I mean? There's even one there. So it's not as comfortable, but this is a detailed knife. I'm going to be holding this knife to do them sort of cuts. So that side of it doesn't bother. But the main blade is definitely the most comfortable of all the knives that I've got down here. The most comfortable by far. Just gorgeous. Really, really beautiful knife. So there you go. There's some of the things that, you know, if you're buying a knife for aesthetics, is that enough? Most of the time, if it's an aesthetic buy, it's usually an expensive buy. So I'm probably not going to hard use it. So does it have to be completely comfortable? No. That proves it. That proves it. This, you know, this here proves it. But having comfort and usable knives and getting to know which knives do that job. So it actually means you have to get cardboard out and try and hold your knives and cut them for a fair amount of time and see what the feeling is like in your hand to see whether you like it or not. We can't always know. We don't always have that, especially over here. I don't always have the choice to get a knife in hand or to go to a shop and feel one, you know, get it in hand. I don't have that choice. But that's knife collecting. We don't always get a choice to handle it first. We have to just buy it and hope it's as good as it looks to us. And a lot of the time it is. And even if it isn't, it can be used. But over the years of knife collecting, swap and change. You know, don't stick with them same knives, because you end up like I did with about 400 knives, maybe 150 I would have genuinely used. You know what I mean? So that's the trap, especially if you're going to start a channel. Don't fall down it. Don't go and get 400 to 500 knives, because a lot of them are going to be cheap ones. You'll not get your money back. You're better just having a few selected. I've culled my collection. But finding which knives you use or you would use is a much better use of your money and time. So there you go. I hope you find that a little bit interesting. I might do some more little chats like this about traditional knives. On the whole, traditional knives are beautiful. Look at that. It's not just a table full of titanium, which, you know, is not me. It's not a titanium, you know, it's not a table full of all micarta or all bone. It's a mixture. And that's the nice part about, for me, traditional knives. I get such a variety. There you go. Paddy's away. Cup of tea time. Have a lovely day. And thank you for sticking to the end if you did. If you did, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't, subscribe to the channel. I'd love to see you the next time I do a video. Take care. Bye-bye now.